Alright, time to look at the PTS, the TU10 PTS patch notes that is coming out in an hour's time for me. So let's start off with new exotics coming with the TU10 PTS, the SRS sniper rifle Mantis. Your scoped view displays additional information about enemies not targeting you. Headshots and weak points damage against enemies not targeting you amplified by 50%. Headshot kills reset the cooldown of the decoy skill. This bonus will wait until decoy goes on cooldown if currently active. Sounds pretty cool. Maybe make the decoy skill actually a bit more useful. Mask Vial. Status effects also applied to damage over time. Debuff for 10 seconds. Total damage dealt is equal to 50% of your concussion grenade damage and increased by your status effect attributes. That's a status effect build. That sounds pretty interesting. Double barrel rifle. Ravenous. On trigger pull, both barrels are fired at once. Ooh. When fired from the right shoulder, hits at offensive primers and defensive primers when fired from the left shoulder. Hits from one shoulder will detonate all of the opposite shoulder's primers when present. When detonated, each offensive primer deals 100% weapon damage, while each defensive primer grants +4 armor and 10% amplified damage to armor plates for 5 seconds. Okay, so that could go well with True Patriot, I guess. Primer effectiveness is doubled at 10 stacks. And then finally, Magnum Revolver, Regulus. Headshot kills create a 5-meter explosion, dealing 400% weapon damage and applying bleed damage to all enemies hit. High base damage. These four sound pretty cool. So we've got the Mantis, the Vial, the Ravenous, and the Regulus. New gear sets. Eclipse Protocol. So plus 15 status effect, plus 15 skill haste, and 30% hazard protection. Indirect transmission. Enemies that die within affected area get status effects. Spread those status effects to other enemies within 15 meters. Refresh 50% of the duration. Chest Talent. Proliferation. Increased indirect transmission range from 15 to 20 meters. And refresh percentage from 50 to 75%. Backpack Talent. Symptom Aggravator. Amplifies all damage you deal to status effect targets by 15%. Foundry Bulwark. Core, it's a blue, 10% bonus armor and 3% armor regeneration. Makeshift repairs. Whenever you or your shield take damage, 40% of that amount is repaired to both over 10 seconds. Chest Talent. Process Refinery. Increases makeshift repairs from 40 to 60%. Damn. Backpack Talent. Improved materials, increased makeshift repairs from 10 to 6 seconds. Future Initiative. It's yellow, 15% repair skills, 15% skill duration, and 15% skill haste. Ground Control. Increases you and your allies' total weapon skill damage by 15% when at full armor. When you repair an ally, you and all allies within 5 meters of you are repaired for 60% of that heal. Chest Talent. Tactical Superiority. Increases ground control damage bonus from 15 to 25%. Backpack Talent. Advanced Combat Tactics. Increases ground control proximity repair from 60 to 120%. Damn. New gear brands. Walker, Harris & Co. That is 5% weapon damage, 5% damage to armor, and 5% damage to health. New talents. Future Perfect. Weapon kills grant +1 skill tier for 15 seconds. Stacks up to 3 times. Oh, so you can get yourself 3 skill tiers. Okay. Weapon kills at skill tier 6 grant overcharge for 15 seconds. Overcharge cooldown is 90 seconds. Weapon talent In Sync. Hitting an enemy grants 15% skill damage for 5 seconds. Using a skill or damaging an enemy with a skill grants 15% weapon damage for 5 seconds. Damage increased are doubled while both buffs are active in the same time. Adrenaline Rush. Backpack. When you are within 10 meters of an enemy, gain 20% bonus armor for 5 seconds. Stacks up to 3 times for 5 seconds. Chestplate talent is Headhunter. After killing an enemy with a headshot, your next weapon hit with within 30 seconds deals 125% of that killing blows damage in addition to it. The damage is capped to 1500% damage of your weapon damage. We got some gameplay changes here. Interesting. Missions. Reduced how many elites spawn in the following missions: Manning National Zoo, Coney Island Ballpark, Coney Island Amusement Park, Camp White Oak, Space Administration HQ, Federal Emergency Bunker, Wall Street, Liberty Island, Pathway Park, Stranded Tanker, and the Tombs. Loot. General. Added all new Season 2 weapon gear and general loot pools. Targeted loot. Increased target loot drops chances for all missions and control point difficulties. Added new Season 2 brand gear to rotation in New York. Okay, so we're not just going to see the Season 1 stuff anymore. We'll see a rotation. Named items. Increased named item drop chance in the regular Dark Zone. Increased the named item chance in target loot everywhere. Exotics. Added Warlock of New York Season 1 exotics excluding the Bighorn to targeted loot, and added the New York Season 1 exotics excluding the Bighorn again to general exotic loot pools. Heroic, Legendary, Raid, exotic caches. Coyote Mask drops from Coyote no longer has a minimum season level requirement. Control points. Removed regular weapon and gear loot containers, not scaling with difficulty from control points. Increased the amount of scaling loot from the big control point reward container. Legendary. Increased NPC loot drop chance for veterans and elites on a legendary difficulty. Vendors. Added name items to both open world and dark zone vendors. Increased prices for named items. Increased item quality for all vendors. Vendors no longer sell superior items at maximum level. SHD levels. Added field proficiency caches to SHD level up for the maximum season level. Increased crafting material rewards for spending SHD points in scavenging category. Conflict. Added season SHD experience gain on conflict level up. Rogue agent encounters. Every rogue agent will now drop loot, and they will no longer occur during the time trials. A players revived by a control point officer will now have 80% of their armor restored, previously 0. Reduce the likelihood of control point officers being downed in combat. Bounties. Bounties acquired by speaking to characters in the open world will always be set to the difficulty at time of acquisition or higher. This affects the snitch and civilian rescues during the public executions or rescue living world activities. Scheduled bounties such as daily and clan bounties are unaffected. Projects. New season pass holders project slot, weekly SHD requisition project slots, legendary mission projects. Okay, PvP, we do have some changes here. Global modifiers. Increased MMR PvP weapon damage by 12%. Reduced global PvP weapon damage by 20%. Reduced assault rifle PvP weapon damage by 15%. Reduced rifle PvP damage by 5%. Reduced SMG PvP damage by 10%. Skill modifiers. Reduced bleed damage from Stinger Hive, mortar turrets, explosive seeker mines by 75%. Weapon specific. Increased double barrel shotgun PvP damage by 20%. Reduced pestilence PvP damage by 10%. Reduced classic M1A damage by 5%. So I'm guessing that's an additional 5% on top of the rifle damage that we have up here, so that should be about 10% total. Additional PvP balances adjustments coming in the PTS 2. Negotiator's Dilemma. Reduce the range at which marked targets can damage each other when critically hit. PvP only. Added visual UI feedback when the range of another target marked target. Imperial Dynasty. It no longer automatically applies the burn effect to the nearest enemy in range. It now requires maintaining a range and line of sight for 3 seconds between the holster bearer and the nearest enemy before applying the burn effect. Added visual UI feedback to Reveal the radius and effect in PvP, an indicator of loss between the holster bearer and nearest enemy. Pestilence. Plague of the Outcast damage over time effect no longer triggers True Patriot White debuff armor effect in PvP and PvE. Weapon balances. 1% weapon handling now gives 1% weapon accuracy, stability, reload speed, and swap speed, up from the 0.25%. Reduce the maximum amount of weapon handling rolled on gear by 4% to a maximum of 10% at level 40. Equip gear with 10% weapon handling will now give you 10% accuracy, 10% stability, swap speed, reload speed. Weapon damage changes, okay. That's a lot to go through. So, if you want to look through that yourself, go ahead. I'll just leave that on screen for a couple of seconds. So, assault rifles. Then we've got LMGs. MMRs. Got rifles. And SMGs. Shotguns. Okay, now we got gear set changes. Ongoing directive is being changed. Main talent, hollow point ammo is no longer dropped on kill. Instead, it automatically added to your active weapon and killing status to afflicted enemies. Backpack talent, new. Trauma specialist. Increase the duration of your bleed effect by 50% and all bleed damage done by 100%. Increase 3-piece reload speed from 20 to 30%. Tip of the spear. Main talent, PvE. Aggressive Recon's weapon damage buff is now gained when dealing specialization weapon damage instead of specialization weapon kill. The main talent for PvP. Aggressive Recon's weapon damage is now gained when dealing grenade damage instead of off a grenade kill. Backpack talent, new signature move. Increases specialization weapon damage by 20% and doubles the amount of specialization ammo generated by aggressive recon. Aces and eights. Main talent, Poker Face. Backpack talent is now a baseline effect. Flip an additional card on headshots. Backpack talent, new. Ace in the sleeve. Amplifies one extra shot when revealing your hand. System corruption. Main talent now repairs 20% of your armor in addition to the 15%. Increase total weapon damage by 1% per 5% bonus armor gained, up to 20%. Striker's set is being changed. Okay, reduce the number of stacks lost on missed shots from 3 to 2. Backpack talent no longer reduces the number of stacks lost on missed shots. New, increases total weapon damage gained per stack on Striker Gamble from 0.5 to 0.65. Brand set changes. Overlord, increase 2-piece accuracy from 10 to 20%. Douglas and Harding, 2-piece stability from 10 to 20%. 3-piece accuracy from 10 to 20%. Fenris Group, reload speed from 10 to 20%. 3-piece stability bonus from 10 to 20%. Talent changes. Leadership, bonus armor increased from 15 to 12%. Spike, all skill damage duration increased from 8 to 15 seconds. Reformation, skill repair duration increased to 15 seconds from 8. Creeping Death no longer goes on cooldown if there is no valid nearby enemy to apply the status effect. Status effects now apply properly copy the source status effect, damage and duration. Skill changes. When Shock Trap's active duration ends, its cooldown is refunded an equal number of seconds that it was active. Stinger Hive, mortar turrets, and explosive seeker mines now display its bleed damage and duration. Now there's a ton of bug fixes. Now if you want to go through these, I'll leave a link in the description for this forum that they left, so you can go through this yourself, because there is quite a lot of them and I don't want this video to go on forever. It's already taken me 30 minutes to record this. So thank you guys for watching, and make sure you leave a like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.